What's up, boys? Taking a look at some more NBA player props today over on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, my favorite website to take a look at some NBA and MLB and just really everything else, player props. So go ahead and download their app and go on the website. Link is in the description if you guys are interested in joining. Highly recommend doing it. 100% deposit match up to $100 using my code DOMG. A bunch of you guys have been using my code, and I seriously do appreciate it because it helps me out and helps you guys out as well. Again, you guys get a 100% deposit match up to $100. You guys can win up to 10 times your money over on Prize Picks. So highly recommend joining. I use it all the time. I love it. But yeah, posted an MLB player prop video earlier. Love some of the MLB props that are on the board right now, but also it's opening day. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and take a look at these here. But if anyone's interested in joining the Patreon, that link is in the description. If you guys are interested in joining that, there's an MLB package, NBA package, and MLB and NBA package over there if you guys are interested in joining that. But yeah, we're going to be talking about some player props in today's video, though. But all links in the description, free Discord link, Patreon link, and PrizePicks link all in the description. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of these player props here. So, all right. Yesterday, though, was a very, very tough day for, I think, pretty much about everyone. So I'm not going to stress about it. Bouncing back with another day here. Happens. I'm not going to stress about it. Happens all the time. So always take everything at your own risk. Always do your own research, all that different stuff. But I got an assist prop, a rebound prop, and 2 3-point makes for you guys today. So I got 4 props on the board for you guys. But the first prop here we're going to take a look at here is going to be an assist prop here for Mr. James Harden. So I like James Harden a little bit over 9.5 assists. He's hitting 3 straight games here. He's averaging 10.6 in his last 5 games here. But he's a minus 110 to go and hit this over. He has a 56% hit rate this season. 4 out of 10 hit rate in his last 10 games, and he had 8 in both matchups versus the Raptors. So only 4 out of 10 hit rate in his last 10 games. Went under twice versus the Raptors, but I'm not really stressing about it. I think it can kind of change up this time around here versus the Raptors, because I mean he's got a great matchup. So we'll take a look at that. 7:30 tonight, 1.5 point spread, 220 over under. So not anything crazy with this over under here, but it is a pretty close point spread there. So that's always good when we're taking a look at some overs. But shooting guard going against the Toronto Raptors. So season long here. This website is called FanDuel NBA Defense versus Position. But let's take a look at the shooting guard here. Assists versus the... Where are they at here? We're taking a look at Toronto. Oh, they're literally right at the top. 5.26. I don't know where I was looking. But 5.26 is what they're allowing here. The most shooting guard assists per game this season. Last 7 games are where they drop a little bit here. And they are allowing the 7th. Right? Is that 7th? Did I count right? Yeah. 7th most assists per game out of the shooting guards. So they've stayed consistently at allowing. They've been consistent allowing a lot of assists to the shooting guard position so far this season. So that's why I kind of like James Harden for sure. The matchup is definitely there. He did go under the last 2 times, unfortunately, though, against the Raptors. So do kind of keep that in mind, especially if you're going to take this prop here. But he is a little bit hot recently, too, with 13, 10, and 14. And some of these were tough matchups, too. I believe Cleveland is a tougher matchup, and I think Indy might be too. But he's got a pretty good matchup today versus Toronto, but it's one that I'm liking quite a bit. Let's take a look at a rebound prop here. This is also going to be from that Philadelphia game, and it's going to be Tobias Harris over 5.5 rebounds here. So he did go on kind of a slump here, but I think he's starting to pick it back up a little bit. He had 6 against Indiana, but he had 5 in 3 straight games there. Had 11 against Milwaukee the game before. That little stretch there, but 6.4 average in his last 5 games. He's a minus 134 to hit this over, so the odds are juiced on him hitting this over. He's hitting 69% of his games this season, 5 out of 10 hit rate in his last 10 games, and he's 2 for 3 this season versus the Toronto Raptors with 7 in the first matchup, 12 in the second matchup, and 5 in the third matchup. So 2 for 3. He did miss in the most recent matchup, unfortunately, but it was only by half a rebound. So, although he has been missing some of these by half a rebound. But let's take a look here at power forward rebounds versus Toronto Raptors. Again, 1.5 point spread, 220 over under. He should hopefully be seeing those full minutes right there with the spread being so low. Let's take a look at power forward rebounds here versus the Toronto Raptors. And the Raptors here are allowing some of the least amount of rebounds per game to the power forward here. But if you take a look at the last 7 games here, in the last 7 games here, Toronto gets much easier here. They're kind of about right in the middle. 9.86 is the number. Yeah, I'd probably say about right in the middle is what they're allowing. So they've gotten a lot easier recently as of the last 7 games here. And he's hitting 69% of his games this season. So that's a great hit rate. But I expect him to go ahead and hopefully grab at least 6 tonight here. Odds are great on this. I'm loving this prop. So that is one that I'm definitely interested in. I will say there's nothing that's overwhelmingly my favorite today. There's not one that I just absolutely love like some of the other slates. So it's kind of the same way with yesterday. I don't really love a specific prop like I kind of usually do. So I do want to say that. But I do think these are worth a look at least. So let's take a look at some 3-point make props here. So they're both going to be in the under. First one we're going to take a look at here is Gary Trent under 2.5 3-point makes. So he's a minus 136 to go and hit this under here. He's hitting 52% of his games this season. 5 out of 10 in his last 10 games he has hit this. And he is 2 for 3 versus Philadelphia this season with 4, 4, and 0. So he missed in the most recent matchup. He only had 0 in that game. So let's take a look at this game here. So Raptors game here. I'm sticking with this game. I promise the last one's going to be a different game. But let's take a look at the shooting guard here versus the Philadelphia 76ers. So it is a close spread like we talked about, 220 over-under. Not really anything crazy for the over-under there. So that's good for taking unders. But let's take a look here at the 3-point makes here versus the Philadelphia 76ers. So the 76ers here are allowing some of the least amount of 3-point makes to the shooting guard. So allowing the 3, 6, 7. They're allowing the 7th least amount of 3-point makes to the shooting guard position so far this season. And if you take a look at the last 7 games here, the 76ers really don't get that much easier, but they do get a little bit easier here. Probably around that 10th range, still around like the 10th least amount of 3-point makes, somewhere around there. So around 2.97 per game there. So I like the spot here a lot for this under here. The odds are juiced on it, like I've been saying. But let's take a look at the last player prop here. It's going to go ahead and be another 3-point make on the under. It's going to be Chris Middleton. So has not been great in his last 5 games here. He only hit twice. He did hit in his most recent game, which was against Chicago. And Philadelphia he also hit, but missed against Memphis, Brooklyn, and Dallas. But he's averaging 1.8 in his last 5 games here. Hoping he can have at least 2 or under. So, all right, Chris Middleton here, small forward going against the Boston Celtics. 6.5 point spread, 227.5 over under. But if you take more of a look at this one, he's a minus 130 to go and hit this under here. He's hitting 44% of his games this season. 5 out of 10 hit rate in his last 10 games, and is 1 for 2 versus Boston this season with 0 in the first matchup and 4 in the second matchup. So he did hit in the most recent matchup, but he did have 0 in the first matchup. So we'll take more of a look into this one here. And Boston is known for being a tough defense for sure here. So, but Boston here, yeah, they're really, really tough here. They're allowing the 7th least amount of 3-point makes to a small forward this season. If you take a look at the last 7 games here, Boston does not get it much easier. They're still allowing the 7th least amount of 3-point makes to the small forward position, allowing 2.08 per game. So they've stayed consistent on not really allowing many 3-point makes to the small forward this season. So I definitely like Chris Middleton on the under for his 3-point makes today. So it's also usually a tiny bit less of an over-under than Milwaukee is usually playing at. They're usually kind of in the 230s, I feel like. And they're playing Boston, who's kind of a slower paced team. So we'll see how that turns out today. But I like this one here. 6.5 point spread. Hopefully this game gets out of hand and ends up blowing out. But I really doubt it. Boston usually is pretty good on staying close to their opponents. So, but yeah, that's what I'm kind of liking today. So to kind of recap here, I like James Harden over 9.5 assists. Tobias Harris over 5.5 rebounds. Gary Trent under 2.5 3-point makes. And Chris Middleton under 2.5 3-point makes. So that's going to do it here. Kind of trying to find a little bit of odd discrepancies early on today. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite props are down in the comments. Maybe you guys agree with me, but you guys don't. Always take everything at your own risk. Always do your own research. And again, use code DOMG on PrizePicks and match your first deposit 100% up to $100. If you guys deposit $60, they'll match it. Give you guys $60 in promo funds. So you guys have $120 total to go out and play with. But that's going to do it, man. I appreciate you watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.